Hello and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television, and it's our great pleasure to have with us today Dr. Carol Probstfeld, the new president of the State College of Florida. Dr. Probstfeld, thank you for joining us on this edition of Up Close on METV.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. I was here, about 6-7 months ago, and a lot has happened since then, so we have a lot to talk about.
And I think we do. And I'm very happy that you brought along a guest today, and that's Professor Daniel Fersman. Professor, thank you for joining us. If you don't mind, I'm going to call you Danny.
Please,
okay?
please, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And Danny, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at the State College.
I'm a political science professor at the college. I've been with the school for 5 years now, and it's just the perfect place to work. And just one of those things where you wake up in the morning and you think, really excited to be able to go and work with the student body we have and work with the other faculty and the administration and just everyone on campus. So it's been a good 4.5 years so far. Really looking forward to the future.
Well, one of the things that we want to spend some time with is some of the things that you're doing with the students and some of the activities and organizations that you're really involved with. And I wanted to take a moment, though, to talk to Dr. Probstfeld. Dr. Probstfeld, this has got to be an exciting time for you. You were just inaugurated less than a month ago, and it's a very exciting time at the college.
It is an exciting time. Anytime we have the opportunity to invite the community on campus, like we did on November 8th to celebrate the inauguration and showcase academic excellence and student success and all the wonderful things we're doing, it's just a great day. It was a good day in the history of the college, and it sort of sets us on our next trajectory forward.
Well, there was a great feeling of kind of community involvement. You invited the entire community to participate. You had fireworks, there was music. It was a wonderful event to share throughout Manatee County and throughout the area, actually, with residents, as you were inaugurated. And it was a wonderful ceremony. But more than that, there seems to be this kind of sense of excitement around the school now, around the college, of there's so much stuff going on. And there's a lot of things that you, through your leadership, are kind of been initiated. Can you touch on a couple of those for us real quick?
Well, sure. Really, to me, it's the finding a way to go back to our roots and remembering from whence we came. We're a 2-year institution at the core of what we do, our AA transfer programs, our 2-year workforce programs, and just reminding ourselves and reminding the community what we do in that regard, what we've done to expand those programs, and how the successes that are generating from that are impacting our community and our college.
Well, one of the key things that I would think that makes a college so vital to the community is its staff and faculty. And with individuals like Professor Fersman, who's here, you've got to be excited about the future of the college.
I think I work with the most amazing people who are committed to the mission of the institution, who work very, very hard, but first and foremost, who really dedicate themselves to student success. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the mantra you'll hear me say again and again today is student success, because when it really boils down to it, that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. And that's one of the things that make Danny so special to the college, because he really extends himself, not in the classroom, but so far beyond, well, in the classroom and so far beyond that, to make sure that our students have opportunities and are successful.
Well, one of the key things you mentioned is giving the students opportunities. And Danny, if you could, tell us a little bit about some of those opportunities that the students avail themselves of, because nobody is mandated to take any of these things, or nobody is required to participate. These are things that are open to the student population to participate in. And I'd like to hear, not only about the Brain Bowl, which sounds pretty exciting, but the Model UN and the success that you've had with the students from SCF.
Certainly. I will say it's definitely the success the students have had. I think I'm a bit of an ancillary part in that, whole process. But I do teach a lot of first semester in college students, and I tell them, you can get a lot of things out of SCF academically, but what you're really going to get out of the school is what you're putting in outside of the classroom, and that's when you're going to learn a lot of those skills that are going to hold you in good stead as you move forward. And so one of the things that I've been very actively involved in, when I came to the college, my then dean, Darlene Wedler-Johnson, had encouraged me to start a Model United Nations program at the college. And I had had some familiarity with it from previous employment experience, but was relatively new. And so we started up the class, and it's run, I think it's run 5 times so far over the last 4 years. And basically what we do is we participate in a week-long simulation of the United Nations that takes place either in Atlanta or in Charlotte, depending on which semester it is. And we get anywhere from 500 or 600 students from around the country, college students around the country, from 40 to 50 schools will get together, and they'll be assigned different countries. And we basically, it's a class at our college, and we spend the entire semester really preparing, learning about what is this country's foreign policy views. The students get broken down into different committees, similar to how the UN actually functions. So there's a General Assembly, there's a Security Council. Sometimes they do things like the World Health Organization was represented at this most recent conference, so they sort of simulated that. And the students really, they move well past the level of just sort of soaking in information and integrating it into some of those higher order thinking. Like the conference, a lot of what they're going to do is creating ways to solve the problems that these groups are dealing with.
Right.
So one of the topics that the General Assembly group dealt with was access to freshwater resources. And so, the students come into the class the first day and they're like, you could be speaking another language. They are aware of what freshwater is. Maybe they grew up, near a river, and so they have some sense of that. But when you start talking about freshwater access in Africa, even the students who have had me for international relations, that's well beyond what they've experienced in a 1,000 or 2,000 level class. And so the first maybe 4 or 5 weeks, we really spend, okay, well, what do you know about the issue? What can we learn about the issue? And then what does our country think about it? But then those last 4 or 5 weeks, and basically the entire conference, is how do we solve this? Which is a tremendous critical thinking opportunity for students. And these are open issues that the world has yet to solve. So it's both presumptuous and exciting to watch 500 or 600 college students get together and try and deal with it. And to do so while faithfully representing and role-playing the role that they've been given. Which means that it's not always as kumbaya-ish as you might expect from hearing that. When you have someone who's representing North Korea, they do a very good job of representing North Korea. And so we've had that, I guess we've done it, like I said, 5 times now. It's been a tremendous experience for the students. It's the most fun week of the semester for me, get to go there and see them, and it's really energizing. Our most recent trip was just 2 weeks ago, the week before Thanksgiving, and we had unprecedented level of success. It's a bit counterintuitive to think that a simulation of the United Nations would have awards, but anything involving students, they always want to find some way to reward them. And our delegation, we were representing the United Kingdom, which is certainly the most powerful country we've ever represented. First time we've ever represented someone on the Security Council with a veto. And students did just spectacularly well. Won a range of prizes for the entire delegation. And then one of our students in particular, who's also the student government president, Evans Reimel III, won individual outstanding delegate for the Security Council, which is just about the top thing.
What a significant achievement.
So it was, and that's why I say it really is that the students just perform so well, and you just never know when you get there. You can put the preparation in, but our college, we go to this one conference a semester, and some of these other schools, UNC Charlotte, they're a massive operation. They actually work the Carolina Panthers home games to raise money, and they go to like 6 conferences a year.
Really?
And so they show up and they have the experience, but we might not have the experience when we get there, but we have the students who have put in the work, and it really shows when it comes time to.
But what a significant achievement, and you've been doing this now for only 5 years?
Yeah, it's
what a significant achievement. And to be able to have these students do real-world thinking, and as you stressed before, critical thinking, to come up and participate in real-world issues, significant achievement, and hats off to you for your leadership in trying to get your delegates together. So how many people participate?
So our delegation has ranged, the smallest we've ever taken was 4. The first time that we offered it in the spring semester, it was a bit of a new thing. Can we do it twice a year is the interest there. So we only slotted 4. And then actually next semester, we're going to have our biggest ever, which is 9. We've actually had to request a second country because we have so many, we overflowed the number of students who could represent Italy, so we'll be Slovakia as well. Be interesting to see who wants to do which. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And, and again, I would suggest that, this participation from the State College, really does a wonderful thing for the State College reputation, for not only the programs, but for the caliber of students that are involved. And that's got to be a great achievement for an individual student from the State College to be recognized as the outstanding delegate.
Yeah, I mean, one of the real impetuses for starting the program is I personally, one of the things that attracted me to working in the State College system is I love the fact that we have students from all sorts of different backgrounds, and we are the opportunity for students who are coming in who may feel like they're academically underprepared to jump right into a 4-year school and want to give SCF a shot and get the experience with some of our fantastic faculty and really build that self-confidence as they work on their 2-year degree with an eye towards transferring. But it's also nice to have some programs for the students who come in and feel like they are ready to just take that challenge immediately. Or for the students who are building up that self-confidence. I can remember our very first year doing this, we had a student who was in year 8 of a 2-year degree. So she was taking the very part-time route, and she did finish in year 9, but she told me that she had a really rough upbringing, a really rough past, had made some poor choices in her teens and 20s, and that Model UM was the first time that she ever felt confident enough to get up in front of a room of 100 people and deliver a speech. And she, in fact, won an individual outstanding delegate award in her conference participation as well. And she said that for her, it was really the capstone achievement of coming from, I'm not sure if I should even be in college, to, wow, I'm going into a room with 100 of these, type A personalities,
Right,
and they're all choosing me as the person who's done the best job.
But what a great opportunity, and what a great opportunity for every student at the State College of Florida to be able to participate in that. But if the Model UN was just one story, that would be great. But there's so many other stories as well. And I've heard you speak, Dr. Probstfeld, about the success of the Brain Bowl. Give us a little perspective what the Brain Bowl is and how you participate in that.
Well, let me go back first and just talk about one thing with the Model UN. You touched on it a little bit, and that is the critical thinking and the communication and the problem solving that these young people are party to and are really honing those skills are exactly the skills that we're hearing from employers that they're looking for in the graduates.
Very
so to be able to
important.
provide these opportunities to, like I said, hone those skills is really something that serves not just the college, the student, but it serves the community we're trying to support as well.
And I think you're exactly right, because those skills that Professor Firstman kind of develops throughout the Model UN, those are the skills that they take on to maybe graduate school or into the workplace, and those are the skills starting here that they can develop.
Let me tell you about the Brain Bowl.
The Brain Bowl.
The Brain Bowl captures my imagination because it's one of those moments that I find so incredibly humbling. I sit there and I watch our faculty spar with our students and compete over answering very, very complex questions and follow-up questions, and I'm just always amazed at the breadth and the depth of the knowledge that people have, but particularly when I sit there and I assess my own ability to answer these questions and realize that usually I can answer it largely because I was alive when it happened, and I remember it from personal experience. Otherwise, my hat's off, and I just admire the work that goes into preparing for this type of competition, and I know it's tough because we're a 2-year institution. We don't have as large a pool to capture students from as some of the other community colleges and state colleges, but someday I'd like to be the state champion, Brain Bowl.
Well, again, it's another opportunity that the State College provides for participation throughout the student population, and I think that's a key thing that within the State College, that there are so many opportunities for students to participate at all different levels, and I know that each one of you have your own success stories that you could talk about, but I think that's a key element there, that the State College opens doors. And whether or not it's not just sitting in the classroom and having the best faculty there, it's having that opportunity to be more and that's what I think the State College offers. And as I was saying, there's got to be so much more that students can participate in. Danny, what are some of those other things that State College opens its doors for?
Well, it's a pretty broad range of activities. So obviously on the academic side, in addition to Model UN, there's the Brain Bowl, and they're a really close group, always looking for new members. They actually have bi-weekly practices. Their advisor, Professor Dwyer, puts in a massive amount of work. Just imagine, I mean, you sort of think about practicing Brain Bowl, but it is. They just sit there and they go through old trivia questions and just start integrating it into their memory as they move forward. But then we also have, we have a math league team, we have a business league, so students who can compete on those topics. We have a wide range of musical and theater opportunities. And I will say actually that, for me, coming to the State College, that has been the biggest surprise. I think our music program is better than any school I have ever worked at or attended, which includes some, 40,000 student big universities. Just the amount of programs and shows that they put on and the level of quality. They always, we often announce the awards that people win, and when the music program just starts listing their awards, and they're routinely the top State College program in Florida.
Well, throughout the course of a year, the State College and the theater and music program, they do so many recitals and performances. And I know Dr. Probstfeld was just speaking earlier about one of the just recent concerts that was performed at Neal Auditorium, and what an outstanding caliber and quality of performance. But that's consistent. I mean, you have a wonderful theater program with the new beautiful theater, the studio theater as well, so you kind of increase your capabilities a lot by having that. But music is a critical part of the college's kind of growth and development.
I would just say that we're starting to see, the fever is catching. Last night at the performance at the Neal Auditorium, it was full. It's 800+ seat theater, and it was full of people who came to see this performance. I'd like to see that for every performance because they're that good, and our support means everything to them, and they've earned it. And I just really hope that anybody watching this will take a look at our website, look at the schedule, and particularly over the next couple of weeks before the holidays, we have a lot of things scheduled, and then after the first of the year, we start our whole new spring season.
Well, one of the things that, whether it's the music program, the theater program, or your film and television program, or the Model UN, these are all kind of the basis for the success that you want to bring to each student. Now, people can avail themselves of the opportunities or not, but there are so many opportunities, for people of every capacity to participate in. And I think that's the driving force, is that you want each student to have that wide breadth of success.
I also think what's kind of interesting about those programs is we collaborate with other entities in the community. The concert that we put on last night was in collaboration with Sarasota Pops. The theater program that is running right now, Mrs. Cratchit's Wild Christmas Binge,
well remembered,
is a collaboration. There are people starring in it who are high school students. We have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old who play Tiny Tim, and so members of the community can participate and be involved. And I think that too is one of the things that makes our program special, is that it reaches out into the community.
And one of the things that I'd like both of you to kind of give us your insight on is that why all these activities lend themselves to that well-rounded education. The caliber and expertise of the faculty at SCF is beyond measure. But all these other activities create these individuals that are, good citizens, good community people, and good people to begin with. Why is it so important to offer these, for students?
Well, there's a lot of the learning takes place outside of the classroom. There's so much that happens in these types of organizations there where students are learning to work with one another. They're learning to put together sort of administrative structures to get things done. They're taking on projects in our community and raising money for different organizations. I recently went to a meeting where the discussion was that we need to figure out a way to get young people involved in philanthropy. And coming back to my college, listening to all the different clubs and all the different things that they're doing to do exactly that, I was feeling pretty good about the fact that we're really instilling in in our students the responsibility and how to go about being good citizens of the world. And all those additional activities are what create that and make that possible.
Danny, what do you think?
The value in college, a lot of people think about the knowledge, the substantive knowledge that you're going to gain in a classroom, and that is important, but so much of what is changing in the workforce are things that we're not able to predict right now. So the kind of job that most of our students are going to work in 10 or 15 years, quite likely a job that doesn't even exist today and would be impossible to plan a curriculum for. But when you look at surveys of employers and you look at the surveys of college graduates and what are the skills that seem to really benefit them regardless of what field they go into, those are the kinds of things that you're building in class and outside of class. It's things like the ability to work well with others, to work in a team, to accomplish goals, to manage your time, to manage a project, critical thinking, communication. And so you get a lot of that in class. I mean, we do definitely work really hard at the State College of Florida to build a curriculum that is geared towards engaging communication skills and critical thinking. But part of that also comes from being outside of class. And as Dr. Probstfeld said, that the learning that comes outside of the classroom when suddenly you're responsible for the success of whatever it is that you're doing, and there's not necessarily an instructor there providing the framework for you. So if you're going to we've had a few food drives on campus this semester that have gone to benefit food banks in the Manatee and Sarasota County areas. And if that's going to be a success, that's more than just an advisor who's going to run that. That requires the club to really put in the hours to get the word out.
Level of effort to make it successful.
And to see that benefit is really, really powerful for them to then be able to deliver that food and say, wow, we are making a difference here.
And I know that you've mentioned that several clubs, work, for organizations, specifically raising funds for the Philippines, for the disaster in the Philippines. The students at State College of Florida respond to the community, not only our Manatee, Sarasota community, but the world community as well. And that has to be really indicative of the quality and the caliber of instruction that they received and their responsibility, not only as a student, but also as a citizen. And I think it's great kudos to Professor Firstman, and great kudos to the college for being able to instill these values into your students so they can continue to be great leaders, great employers, and great citizens. Dr. Probstfeld, what do you want your students to know and your faculty know about all these great success stories that you have here?
Well, I think it's important to remind ourselves as an institution what we do and what we do well, and to acknowledge that it really starts with that faculty member and that relationship with the student that starts in a classroom and transcends beyond that, and everybody else in the institution has part of the role that helps us make sure that students are successful. One of the things that I talked a little bit about in an inauguration speech that I gave was that different students get to the finish line at different paces and in different ways. But our job as the college, and one of the things that I think we do so well, is we're there to support them regardless of what pace they're moving at and whatever support needs that they may have. And I think that makes us special, makes us unique, and it's one of the things that binds us together as an institution and binds us to our community.
I think that was extraordinarily well said. So Danny, we're going to take a little break right now, and first of all, I want to thank you, for joining us, joining Dr. Probstfeld here today, and also for being the leader for the Model UN team and a leader on campus as well. And we would welcome you back at any time. Perhaps you come back with some of your Model UN team, and they can talk some of the lessons learned.
They would love that.
And to encourage other people to perhaps participate. So thank you very much for joining us. And don't go away. We're going to be right back with more with Dr. Carol Probstfeld, the president of the State College of Florida. Hello and welcome back to Up Close on METV. We're very pleased to have with us Dr. Carol Probstfeld, president of the State College. And Dr. Probstfeld, I have to tell you that, sitting here and talking with Danny, you can just see the enthusiasm and the excitement and the caliber of individual that you have as part of your faculty. But it's very exciting to hear about the success that you bring to students. Tell us a little bit more about some of the other success stories that kind of resonate with you.
I would absolutely love to. These are the stories that I'm really privileged to be able to talk about on a daily basis, and they do touch your heart because it's what our college is about. Most recently, one of our very first students who participated in our alternative certification program, and what that means are individuals who have a baccalaureate degree in, let's say, biology, for example, can come back and get the certificate and become a teacher. Our very first class of that, a student by the name of Helen Pastori, is being considered for Teacher of the Year right now. So that program is very successful, and we're proud of that.
Exciting.
Emily Colin was a volleyball player, came to us from out of state a couple years ago, came to Florida, enjoyed it, graduated from the State College of Florida. She was this past summer nominated by the governor to be a gubernatorial fellow and has spent the fall up in Tallahassee working on policy issues with the governor's office. Another wonderful success story. Our graduation speaker, Linda Larson, is a graduate several years ago from Manatee Junior College. She is a internationally known motivational speaker. She's a professional actress. She's written several books, won a bestseller, and she's going to be our speaker at graduation. We're looking forward to that. And all the way to our collegiate school. One of our collegiate school students, A.J. Cowley, a young man, is going to the Florida Theater Festival to compete in the musical theater division. He's outstanding.
How exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, those are just a few of the many people that that go to the State College and feel that kind of sense of excitement and accomplishment that is there every day.
Well, there's one student whose story really touches the heart and touches a nerve for me because she really embodies what we do, what we're all about at the State College of Florida, and there are many more like her. As a young child, she experienced a lot of difficulty in her life, and she and her mother left a very abusive situation. And by the time she was in 9th grade, she had heard from various instructors, one in particular, that she just wasn't school material. And she ought to just quit and go get another job, or get a job. And she did. She dropped out of school in the 9th grade. By happenstance, she and her mother happened to make their way to Bradenton, Florida. She came to the State College of Florida. She's with us now. She recently was one of the speakers at inauguration.
At your inauguration.
She holds a 3.9 GPA. She is the president of our Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society at the Bradenton campus, and she just found out, as a matter of fact, I think the day before inauguration, she announced at that event that she's been accepted to Columbia and wants to study neuroscience. So that really is the story about what we do, and that's the kind of success that we offer students who may need that additional support to gain that kind of success. So those are the kind of things that make us very, very proud. When we have those stories, we want to shout them from the mountaintops. So thank you for asking.
As well you should. And the thing is that the State College instills this sense of accomplishment into all students. Whether or not they rise to the top, or whether they're there and they're getting a great education and they go on to a great job. It's a sense of accomplishment that comes through each and every student. And you can see it in the graduation as well, is that they have this kind of shared sense of pride in graduating from the State College of Florida.
Well, as you know, having been to several of our graduations, that is a happy moment. And one of the greatest things I think about being president is to be able to stand there and watch those young people walk across the stage, not all young, all ages, as a matter of fact, to do graduate from our institution. And I get to shake their hand, and I get to congratulate them, and I look at the smile on their face and listen to their families cheering from the audience. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Well, and one of the things, too, that I've noticed at graduations is the great sense of pride that your faculty takes when they see their students walk across the stage. Your faculty, takes a great deal of pride in providing the very best education possible, to all of the students. And you can see the pride in their faces when you see them walk across the stage.
Well, it's quite an effort. As I said, Danny is just one example of faculty who really go above and beyond what takes place in the classroom to ensure success of our students, and every bit of their success is attributable to the incredible faculty that we have at the State College of Florida.
Now, one of the things that I'd like for you to take a little time to talk about is developmental education and how it relates to student success. Tell us how SCF is responding to that state requirement for for all Florida colleges for developmental education?
Well, as you know, we're an open access institution, which means we do get those bright futures students.
Sure.
And we get those students who have a GED, or it's been a while since they've been out of high school, and they come to us and they're really just not prepared for college level work. The change in the law on what we call developmental ed, not to be confused with special education.
Right.
Many people don't see that differentiation. These are students who have been successful but have fallen behind in some of the skills they might need to be successful at college. Right. The change in the law no longer allows us to test students when they come in and find out where they might fit in that spectrum and direct them in the right direction. Also requires us to provide different opportunities for students to get support for those additional academic needs that they might have outside of the classroom. So we've had a group of people working on this. We have to submit our report to the state in January, and we're looking at a variety of things. One will be advising and how we involve faculty in that advising process. We know that 91% of the students we surveyed said that their interaction with faculty is what helped them make decisions about their academic trajectory. So, we have to acknowledge that and take advantage of that and involve our faculty in that way. And I am very proud to say that our faculty embrace that idea and will be able to participate in that. So that's one thing. How do we do a better job of advising these students now that we're not going to be able to rely on those tests?
Right.
We have to find other ways to help students get the right kind of support and not allow them to just mainstream and fail.
Right.
In terms of what some of the options are that we provide, we've got modularized type classes, which means that once we're able to assess the students, give them a diagnostic once they get into a class and figure out, maybe they're pretty good with fractions and decimals, but they don't remember their algebra very much.
Right.
And so we have to focus exactly on those key skills that they need. And once they've mastered those, they can move on. They don't have to sit in an entire class for 8 weeks or 16 weeks and half of the material maybe they already have mastered. That's one aspect. The other aspect is just compressing classes into 8 weeks and trying to move students through quicker and assessing, are they keeping up? Are they able to be successful at the end of that 8 weeks? And have they met all their goals? If they haven't, they can take that class again. So it's really trying to help them get up to speed much faster and in a more targeted way, but give them those options.
So you have the support system kind of built in because of the change in requirements now that you want students to succeed. You have the ability to have all these support systems and structure, to make them, see that, we're behind you.
Oh, we're always going to be focused on student success. We're not going to let changes in laws, we will always comply, which of course we have to, but we're not going to let those changes, regardless of what the motivation might be for those changes, stand in the way of us being focused on student success and making sure that we're providing students every opportunity. Because again, that's our mission, that's what we do, and that's what we're always going to do.
So one of the key things that that you've mentioned over and over is opportunity, and I'd like for you to take a couple of moments because I've heard you speak about this on other occasions. Is the efforts that you make for returning veterans, and I think there can be nothing more important for a community, for a college, for a university to offer than to be there for returning veterans to come back. And tell us some of the initiatives that you're working with through the State College to make this path maybe a little easier.
Well, we're very proud. For the third year in a row, we were acknowledged as a military-friendly school. And to achieve that, it's some of the things that we're doing in order to support veterans. We put actual physical space on each of our campuses where veterans can come in and meet with veteran advisor, understand how to access their benefits, understand how to move through their academic curriculum, get connected with other veterans, get engaged in some of those other activities that we have on campus to help these folks re-assimilate into a normal life after coming out of their experiences in the military. That's a large part. We also have done some fundraising through our local veterans groups to provide some resources for these students because there are some glitches and some slow-moving operations that are holding back the students from being able to get the resources to start their education and to pay for some of their things like books. And so the local community has been very supportive in helping us to meet that need for veterans. And we've been working with our local delegation to see if we can't get some of the laws changed so when the veterans do come back to Florida that they can qualify for resident tuition and not, again, be held back because they simply can't afford to pay out-of-state tuition while they're regaining or gaining that residency status.
So, I mean, it's very rewarding, I think, for a veteran to walk into a college and see that the resources that one may need are readily available. And State College, for the last 3 years, has been kind of leading the way in that. And you're to be congratulated for that and carrying on that tradition, because veterans are such an important part of this community or any community. But State College has done an extraordinary job of reaching out to veterans.
Well, and veterans bring such rich experiences before, during, and after their military experience to the whole fabric of what we do as an institution and also to our community. And to the extent that we can help them be successful and reacclimate to life once they're out of military, then I can't think of any more important thing that we can be doing.
Now, one of the things that Dan talked about it, is when students come into the college, it's an exciting time, and they're really not sure. A lot of times, should I join this club or participate in this? I want to concentrate on my studies. Tell me, from your perspective, Dr. Probstfeld, how is important that first year for a student when they get into the State College?
Well, it is the most important time. Many students come with various, expectations, and usually they're very high expectations. They have prepared themselves. They think they've prepared themselves for college work. One of the first things that can be very devastating to a student is to find out that they aren't necessarily prepared for college level classes. One of the things we're doing in our developmental education program is to put, for example, a very simple algebraic equation and say, you'll be expected to solve this equation on the first day of your college level math class. If you can't do it, then maybe we need to talk about what some other options are. So as it comes to trying to help students through these processes and make them successful, there's just any number of opportunities that we try to provide inside and outside of the classroom. And we do know when students are involved in outside activities, it binds them to the institution. So that first year is the opportunity to help them see what what the options are, and to help them get integrated in what some of those things might be. We are in the process of seeking our reaccreditation, or reaffirmation through our accrediting agency, and we have to do a quality enhancement plan. We've chosen to focus that plan on that first year experience and how we might enhance that student engagement so that we make sure that we're helping students set realistic expectations and then meeting those expectations.
But what a great policy to develop, because once if you help during that first year, then all successive years become just a little bit easier. So you're setting the pace, making that first year successful for all students.
It is, and it's a tough time. It's very different. It's not the same as high school, and when students have been out of school for a while, it's sort of getting back in that groove of how do you fit that into your life, and help us helping students figure out how they can do that. So we really have those two distinct populations. We have that student that's sort of traditional age, and then we have that student that's coming back to school. And we're trying to figure out the most successful ways to make sure that we can engage both populations and make sure that as I said, their expectations are set appropriately and that we can help them meet those.
And it's just a recipe for another example of student success. Now, one of the things, and we've heard you talk about this in the past as well, is the importance of a college library and what a critical part of that is in a student's education. Tell us a little bit about that and how the library is playing an important part at the State College of Florida.
Well, our research has shown us that students who access a library have higher GPAs. Students who use the library are more successful in terms of their trajectory toward graduation. Students that use the library have a greater retention rate. at their institutions. And so for those reasons alone, it makes sense that this building is, and this area, this function is the most important thing that we can provide to students outside of the classroom experience.
Right.
I like to refer to the different aspects of the institution. You have your classrooms, which is the mind of your institution. You have your physical education and some of your other curricular, extracurricular activities that are the body of your institution. But the library is really the soul. And we're looking for support from our local delegation to make sure that we can make sure that that soul is solid, that that really is that third place for students. They've got the classroom, they've got outside the classroom, but they need that third place where they can study in groups, where they can study individually, where they can access information both electronically and, like it or not, we're probably always going to have books. And we make sure that we show students how to accept what's real information, what's not real information, what information is legitimate and not, and that space can't be more important. And right now we really don't have a facility that envisioned today's world. It was built 35, almost 40 years ago, and it didn't envision that every student would show up on campus with probably 2, if not more, electronic devices.
Exactly.
They have their smartphones, they have their laptops, and they're looking to be able to utilize those tools when they're studying. And
quickly, easily, efficiently.
Exactly.
I mean, those are the lessons of today, is that, the smartphone, the laptop are an instrumental part. And the library is a critical part of any campus in any state. But the library has always been like a centerpiece for a college as well. And as you make efforts to modernize and upgrade and enhance that library, what do you envision for a modern library within the State College?
well, I think we have a blessing and a curse in that our students access our library almost the most of any institution of any of the community college, state colleges in the state of Florida. We're in the very top tier. So we're getting students to the library. That's the good news. The bad news is that they have lots of opportunities to tell us what's missing. So we have some pretty good information about what students are looking for. And as I mentioned, they need a variety of different spaces.
Right.
They need places where they can meet as groups and they can be loud. They need places where they can study quietly and individually. They need places that is more of that sort of living room setting where they can have a meaningful conversation with their counterparts. There's always going to be the need for technology and being able to provide that access, having all the banks of computers that students can come use and the laptops that they can check out and the resources to help them access information online and again determine what's good information, what's not good information that they are accessing online. And then I think just technology in general to create access. I have this dream, and it's probably just in my head right now, but that we have the ability for students to access that facility with a handprint or a thumbprint or something so that we can make it open to them in the hours that they're studying. Many students have very active lives. They're working, they have families, they're trying to put their children to bed at night, and it may be the late hours of the night when they finally have the opportunity to say goodbye to their spouse for a few moments and go study. And we need to be the place where they can come do that.
I think that's an excellent idea, because I think you're exactly right. Your students are, for a large part, they're non-traditional students. I mean, many of them have jobs, many of them have families, and having access to a library is a critical part of that education process. And your analogy of the heart of a college as a library, I think, is spot on, because it really is. It's a gathering place, much like a quad, but that's a learning environment where students can access. President Probstfeld, first of all, I want to thank you very much for taking the time, which I know is a very busy schedule. We're kind of winding down here a little bit. And there's so much more that I wanted to ask you, some about your workforce development projects and some of the 4-year projects. But we can invite you back to come and give us an update. I'd love to be able to do that, because you have so many innovative initiatives. And as I said earlier, there seems to be a new excitement about the State College. And as you said, you're kind of reestablish what the State College has always been. It's been a part of this community for many, many years and will continue to be so. But under your leadership, there seems to be this new sense of innovation and initiative going on. And as we wind down here, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's next. I mean, what do you see on the horizon?
Well, I think it's incumbent upon us to think about what the legacy not me, but we, the college and the Board of Trustees and the community, what's the legacy that we want to leave of education in our community when we're gone? Because our institution wouldn't be here today if it weren't for people who said, we're going to put this institution out in the middle of strawberry fields. And we have to think about that. And we have to think about what do we want to leave and what direction does that take us in. I think right now for me the two things that are the most important focus are academic excellence and student success. And they take a lot of different avenues. Mm-hmm. And we talked about several of those today. Mm-hmm. But more of that, more of the same, more opportunities to make students successful, more opportunities to showcase our academic excellence and make sure that our faculty and our students have every opportunity to be the best of the best.
Well, Dr. Probstfeld, I think under your leadership, the State College of Florida is well served. I think those goals of academic success and student success are hand in hand and joined, and I think that there'll be continued success, under that kind of leadership and vision that you have. Again, I want to thank you very much for taking the time out to do this, and would welcome you back because there are a lot of great things that are happening at the State College of Florida.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to wind up by saying we're part of the community. We're at heart a community college, and we can't realize our vision for the future without our community and the support of our community. We are very, very fortunate that this community supports this institution, and we appreciate that.
And I think this community supports the State College of Florida. Thank you, Dr. Probstfeld.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this special edition of Up Close on METV.